Welcome to the class 2 of 15 days TCS NQT Cracker. Today we are going to discuss some questions from numerical aptitude. Basically, we are concentrating on elementary statistics, but there will be questions from other sectors as well. So, as we have discussed in the previous class, I would urge you to pause this video, try the questions on your own, and then see my explanation and my workout. After my lecture, you can also go through the solution PDF, classwork PDF, and then can attend the practice test of this particular lecture. So without any further ado, let's start with our lesson. Let's look into our first question. A mean of 50 observation was 36. It was found out later that an observation 48 was wrongly taken as 23. The corrected new mean is. So let us assume the numbers are x1 plus x2 plus dot 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 plus x50 divided by 50 is 36. That is the mean of 50 observation. So we can assume that from x1 to x50, the value is s, and I can write it as equal to 50 into 36. It is just for the ease of representation. So x is equal to s is equal to 50 into 36. Let us take it as equation number 1. Now, what they're saying is that in this particular sum, an observation 48 was wrongly taken as 23. So whatever sum we got, it is actually lesser than the actual sum. So I can say that S is less than S dash. This is our modified sum where we have changed this 48 to 23. So what I can say is that sum S dash minus S is the difference between 48 minus 23. Why? Because all the numbers in S and S dash are same except 48 and 23. So the difference of their sum is going to be the difference between 48 and 23, and that can be simplified to S dash minus S equal to 25. This is our equation number 2. So from equation number 1, we have S equal to 50 into 36. And from equation number 2, we have S dash minus S equal to 25. So from equation 1, we can write S dash equal to 50 into 36 equal to 25. So S dash is going to be S dash is equal to 25 plus 50 into 36. Now I'm showing you, do not just blindly multiply these two numbers. What we can write in the next step is S dash equal to 25 plus 25 into 2 into 36. We can take 25 common from both of these numbers. So we will have 25, 1 plus 72. 2 into 36 is 72. So what we will have is equal to 25 into 73. Sorry, it is 73. So this is the sum of the 50 observation, that is the new sum. So the new average or the new mean will be S dash divided by 50. So what is the value for S dash? The value for S dash is 25 into 73 divided by 50. So this is 1, this is 2, and 73 divided by 2 is 36.5. So the new mean is 36.5. That is your option B. So I hope this question was understandable to you. It was an easy question. Let us move on to the next question. What they're saying is that a milkman purchases rupees X per liter, purchases milk at rupees X per liter and sells it as rupees 2x per liter, still mixes 2 liters water with every 6 liter of pure milk. What is the profit percentage? So let us first understand the question properly. So there is a milkman, he is buying some liter of milk at X per liter and selling that same milk at 2x per liter. But when he is selling, he is not selling the pure milk, he is mixing some amount of water with the pure milk and then selling it. So the profit margin is going to be little bit higher. So we can assume that the cost price of the milk to be 1 rupee. Whenever we are working with percentage, whenever we are working with ratio, we can assume simple numbers. There is no attachment or there is no fixed rule to assume something. So when there is nothing mentioned, we can always assume that these numbers to be simple numbers, like the cost price to be 1 rupee. If the cost price of milk is 1 rupee, then the selling price will be 2 into 1, that is 2 rupees. This is not it. He is also mixing some water. So if he sells 8 liter of milk, 8 liter of milk, he is actually buying 6 liter of milk and he is mixing 2 liter of water to it. So he is selling 8 liter of milk at 8 into 1, that is, sorry, 8 into 2, that is 16 rupees. But to sell 8 liter of milk, he is actually buying 6 liter of milk, and with that 6 liter, he is mixing 2 liter of water. So the cost price is going to come down at 6 into 1, that is 6 rupees. So he is investing 6 rupees and he is selling that particular particle at 16 rupees. So using this, we have to find out the profit percentage. So the profit percentage will be 60 minus 6 divided by 6. So an important formula is that if you have to find the profit percentage or the increase or decrease percentage, always remember, if X is our original data and X dash is our modified data, then the percentage of increase or the percentage of decrease will be X dash minus X divided by X into 100. If this particular result is in negative, then it will be a decrease. If this particular value is positive in nature, then it will be increase. So in this case, we can see that X dash is greater than X. So this value is going to be in positive range. That is why it will be increased, or I can say that it is a profit percentage. If this particular value was in the negative range, then it is actually decreased. So it would have been a negative, or it would be have been a loss percentage. So anyways, we can simplify this particular situation and we can find out that 10 divided by 6 into 100 is our profit percentage. What do we know? We know that 10, 3 into 2, into 33.34 into 3. 100 can be written as 33.3333 into 3. So I have simplified it and written it like this, like 33.34 into 3. I can cancel 3, I can cancel 3. This 2 is cancelled with 5. So the end result is 5 into 33.34. So the final profit percentage is 166.7%. That is the profit percentage of that milkman. So this will be option number B. So I hope this question was clear to you. So now let us go to another question, that is question number 3. They are telling us that the ratio between the perimeter and the breadth of a rectangle is in the ratio of 5:1. If the area of rectangle is 216 centimeters square, what is the length of the rectangle? So let us imagine that we have a rectangle like this. The length of the rectangle is A and the length of the rectangle is, breadth of the rectangle is B. So the perimeter of this rectangle will be 2A plus B. And from this first relationship, we can write that perimeter divided by breadth equal to 5 divided by 1. That can also be written as 2A plus B divided by B. This is our equation number 1. If the area of the rectangle is 216 centimeters square, so the area is 216 centimeters square, so I can write A into B equal to 216. That is our equation number 2. Now we have two equations, two simultaneous equations. We have to find out the value of A and B. Actually, we just have to find the value of A. So we are not bothered with the value for B. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to write B in terms of A. So B equal to 216 by A. If we had to find out the breadth, or if we had to find out the value for B, we should have written A in terms of B. As we are finding the value for A, we have written B in terms of A. And then we will simplify this equation. What we have 2A plus B by B equal to 5 by 1. So we will do cross multiplication. So we will have 2A plus 2B equal to 5B. And then further simplification gives us 2A equal to 3B. Now what do we know? We know that B can be written as 2 into A equal to 3 into 216 divided by A. And then we can find out the value from A from here. So we can write A square equal to 3 into 216 divided by A. Do not do any heavy lifting calculation at this particular point. Let us just simplify this particular equation and see what we are getting. So A squared equal to 3 into 108. Why 108? I have simplified this one to get 108. Now 108 can be written as 3 into 12 into 9. This is already a perfect square number, so we're not going to touch this number. But these are not perfect square numbers, so we have to convert it as such. We can write 3 into 4 into 9. I have expanded 12 to 3 into 4. So 3 square, so the value is 3 square into 4 is 2 square, and 9 is again 3 square. So if we find the square root of this particular number, we are going to get 3 into 2 into 3, that is 9 into 2, that is 18. So the length of the rectangle is 18 centimeter. So I hope this question was clear to you. So what you have seen from my previous lectures is that do not do heavy lifting calculation in the initial part of the question. Keep the question in the multiplication form only. And you will find in 90% of the cases, the numbers are going to reduce themselves to make the calculation easier for you. Obviously, there will be an option of online calculator in when you apply for this examination, but using online calculator is going to reduce your efficiency, and it is going to increase the amount of time you take per question. So it is very important that you use the online calculator as less as possible. Only in the dire situation you should use the online calculator. But I believe from the level of questions that TCS gives, the calculator, you don't need the online calculator. You can do the calculation by just putting the number in the right context. So anyways, let us go to the next question. So this is a question of shares. A sum of rupees 427 is divided among A, B, and C such that 3 times of A's share, 4 times of B's share, and 7 times of C's share are all equal. This should be times, not tunes. So I will just correct it here. Okay. Let us understand the question properly once again. So they are saying that a sum of rupees 427 is divided among A, B, and C such that 3 times of A's share is equal to 4 times of B's share is equal to 7 times of C's share are all equal, and the share of C is. So let us assume that the share of A is A, share of B is B, and share of C is C. So we can write that A plus B plus C equal to 427. This is our equation number 1. Now in the second relationship, they are saying that 3 times of A is to 3 times of A's share is equal to 4 times of B's share is equal to 7 times of C's share. That is equation number 2. So according to the ratio and proportion, we can write K by 4, that is the ratio for A, is to K by, this should be 4, and this is K by 7. This should be 3. We'll just erase it once. Okay. So we can write it like this. So this equation can be transferred it to like this. So remember, this is an important relationship or an important criteria. If we have an equation or if we have a relationship like this, like AX equal to BY equal to CZ, then we can write K by A is to K by B is to K by C. So this is the ratio for X. This is the ratio for Y. This is the ratio for Z. Similarly, I can write K by 3, K by 4, and K by 7. In fact, you can also write 1 by 3 is to 1 by 4 is to 1 by 7. So once we have this, so let us simplify this one. The LCM of 3, 4, and 7 is 84. So we can write 28 by 84 is to 20, 21 by 84 is to 12 into 84. 12 divided by 84. Why? Because if we divide 84 by 3, we are going to get 28. If we divide 84 by 4, we are going to get 21. And if we are dividing 7 by 84, we are going to get 12. So we can just remove this denominator, and the final ratio is 28 is to 21 is to 12. So the C's share in the profit or the C's share in the sum will be 12 divided by 28 plus 21 plus 12 into 427. So the final result will be 427 into 12 by 61. Now wait, before you touch the online calculator, let's see we can simplify this particular relationship or not. If you look carefully, the only way we can simplify this particular equation is to divide 61 for 427 with 61. If we can divide 427 with 61, then we can simplify this particular equation. And the only number possible that can divide 427 completely is 7. So let us just take this hunch and multiply 7 with 61. So we are going to get 7 and 7 6 are 42. Yes, we are getting 427. So I'm just going to simplify this one. This is 1 and this is 7. The equation becomes simpler. So this is 7 into 12 and 7 into 12 is 84. So the total share for C is 84. Again, this was an important part. If you think carefully, this simplification is an important part. Remember to do this simplification carefully. First, check before diving into blind calculation. First, check is there a particular way in which we can simplify a particular equation or not. If there is a particular way, then try out that particular way. So 90% of the cases we can actually simplify this equation, and for the rest of the 10% cases, you can always use the online calculator. But first, try to simplify this equation. This is going to save you a lot of time. So now let us go to the next question. This is a question from ratio and allegation, and this question was probably asked in TCS 2016 or somewhere like this. I don't remember exactly. So this is an actual TCS question. So let us try to solve this one. So they are saying that 8 liters of water is drawn from a cask full of wine and then filled with water. So we have a cask full of wine. So cask is just kind of a bottle. So this is filled with wine. Now we are taking 8 liters out of this particular cask and replacing it with water. So what happens is that this wine is diluted. So the proportion of water has increased and the proportion of wine has decreased. So this operation is performed 3 more times. So every time we are taking 8 liters of wine and then filling with water. So as many times we are performing this operation, the ratio of wine and water is going to change. or I can say that the ratio of wine is going to keep on decreasing and the ratio of water is going to keep on increasing. So the ratio of quantity of wine now left in the cask to that of water is 16:5. How much wine the cask hold originally? So they are telling me what was the initial quantity of wine that was there in the cask. So let us assume that the total capacity of the cask is X liter. So the initial quantity of wine and the capacity of cask is same. So we can assume that that to be X. So this is the value that we have to find out. So from this second relationship, we can say that the amount of wine left after 4 operation is 16 divided by 16 plus 65 into X. So if you remember my previous lesson, we had actually tried to find out the total amount of a liquid left from the particular ratio of the liquid. So you can just go through my previous lesson and clear up this formula. So again, this is the total amount of wine that is left. So I can write 16x divided by 81. So this is our equation number 1. Let it be. Now let us learn an important formula. And please write this formula down in your copy and somewhere safely. And you are also going to get this PDF of the classwork, so you can also consult to this formula later. So let us assume that this particular operation is happening and the initial quantity is X, and 1 minus P by X to the power N gives our final amount of the liquid left. So let us look into the terms. So first, X is the initial quantity, P is the amount taken out, and X is again this initial quantity, and N is the number of times the operation has been performed. So every time this kind of an operation has been performed, we can use this particular formula to find out the final quantity. So we can take all the information that is given in the question and then plug all the information in this particular equation. So we can have X is the initial capacity, so it will be X only, 1 minus the amount that is taken out in every operation is 8 liters. So P will be 8 and X and number of times. So we have performed this operation 4 times. So N is going to be 4. And this is going to be equal to 16x divided by 81. And from this particular equation, we can find out the value for x, which is going to give us the initial capacity of the cask. Now just hold on. This equation looks complicated enough. We are going to simplify this particular equation and see if we can work it out or not. So from the first glance, we can remove this x from the both side. So what we are left with, 1 minus 8 by x to the power 4 equal to 16 by 81. Now, if we are left with this, what I can do? I can write 16 in the form of to the power 4 of something. So 16 can be written as 2 to the power 4 and 81 can be written as 3 to the power 4. So square root of 4 from the both side, I can write this equation as 1 minus 8 by x equal to 1 minus 8 by x equal to 2 by 3. Now it is a perfectly simple equation. I can bring 2 by 3 in this left hand side. So 1 minus 2 by 3 equal to 8 by x. So this is going to be 1 by 3 equal to 8 by x, and cross multiplication x will go here, 3 will come here. So this is going to give us x equal to 24. So the final capacity of the cask is 24 liter. That is option number C. So from this particular question, we have learned two things. First, this important formula. Whenever you have a question from mixtures and alligation, and when you're mixing liquids and the ratio and proportions are changing, please use this particular formula. I'm just marking it out so that you can consult to it later. This is an important formula. Write it down in your copy. And I have also mentioned what the variable means in this particular equation. So this is an important part. Then revise this particular part to get the total amount of liquid from a ratio. Total amount of liquid left from a particular ratio, and then finally use this trick to simplify your calculation. I hope this question was easily understandable to you. Now let us go to another question, another interesting question. Question number C, 6. The question looks very easy. They are telling us that LCM of two prime numbers is x and y. Fine. And the value for x is greater than y. So the LCM of two prime numbers is an important thing up here. LCM of two prime numbers is x and y and is 61. The value for 3y minus x is. Now, from the previous lecture, we have learned an important formula. What was that important formula? The product of two numbers, product of x comma y is equal to HCF of x and y into LCM of x and y. Now from this particular situation, we can think one thing. Both x and y are prime numbers. Both x and y are prime numbers. So let us take some example of prime numbers. So we have 17 and we have 13. So the factors of 17 are 1 and 17, and the factors of 13 are 1 and 13. So from this situation, we can see that the HCF between these prime numbers is 1. So actually, this is an important theory, or you can say that important conclusion. HCF of two prime numbers is 1 always. HCF of two prime numbers have to be 1. So once we know this particular theorem, so let us put into this particular question. So the product of the two numbers, that is x into y, equal to 1 into 161. LCM is 161, that is given in the question. So you can write xy equal to 161. Now, we know another thing. What we know? That is x is greater than y, and x and y are both prime numbers. So let us start with prime factorization of 161. So if we prime factor 161, so first 161 can be divided by 7. So 7 2 ja 14, carry 2 and 23. So 23 is a prime number. So 161 can be written as 7 into 23. So I can conclude that x into y equal to 7 into 23. So from this particular situation, I can write that value for x is 23 and value for y is 7. Why? Because the value for x is greater than y. So from these two values, the greater value will be associated to x and the smaller value will be associated to y. So x equal to 23 and y is equal to 7. If we know these two values, we can easily plug in those values in this particular equation and get our final result. So 3 into y is 7 minus x is 23. So 7 into 3 is 21 minus 23. So the final result is minus 2. So the final result is minus 2. That is option number A. So I hope this question was understandable to you. So I chose this question due to one reason for this particular theorem, because HCF of two numbers is always 1. So many of the students will see this particular question but will not remember this particular conclusion. So it is very important. I have star marked this conclusion also. Fine. Now let us go to another question. It is a very interesting question again. So let us first read the question properly, understand the question properly, and then we can start with the systematic approach to this question. They are saying that A fires 5 shots to B's 3. This is first important relationship. A fires 5 shots to B's 3, but A kills only once in 3 shots and B kills only once in 2 shots. B has missed 27 times and A has killed how many birds? So this is a ratio. So let us suppose that SA is the number of times A has shot and SB is the number of times B has shot. So this will be 5 is to 3. So this is our first equation. Fine. This is the ratio. Now they are saying is that B has missed 27 times. B has missed 27 times. There is another thing they are saying is that B kills once in 2 shots. So we can say from this particular ratio that number of shots taken by B will be SB equal to 3 by 5 into X. This is the number of shots taken by B. And from this total number of shots taken by B, B kills once in 2 shots. So I can say that B has missed half of his shots. So I can write that as B equal to 3 divided by 5 into X into half equal to 27. Why 27? Because they are saying that B has missed 27 times. So from this particular situation, we can find out the value for X. So X equal to 27 into 5 is to 2 divided by 3. So this is 9. So x is equal to okay, there is a slight mistake that I did in the ratio. So please remember that this will be 3 by 8. Okay. This is 3 by 8. So this will be 3 by 8. So this will be uh, 3 divided 27 8 by 2. 27 8 by 2. So the value for x will be 9 into 16. No need to multiply the values yet. So the value for x is 9 into 16. Now they are saying that how many times A has killed. So we can find out the number of shots taken by A. So the number of shots taken by A will be 5 by 8 into x. And from these shots, A kills only once in 3 shots. So his kill shots will be 1/3 of the total shots taken. 5 by 8 into x. This is the total shots taken by A, and the total kill shots will be 1/3 of the total shots taken. So 5 by 8 into x is the total shot into 1/3 is the kill shots by A. So the number of birds killed by A will be 5 by 8 into the value for x we know, that is 9 into 16 into 1 by 3. So we can just reduce this particular equation. So 8, this becomes 2, this becomes 3, 5 2 are 10, and 10 into 3 is 30. So A has killed 30 birds. So this is our final solution. So we can just review this question once. From this first relation, we know that the ratio of shots taken by A and B, from this particular ratio or from this particular relationship, we can find out the total shots taken by B, and half of the total shots were missed by B. So from this relation, we can find out the value for x. Then using this similar situation, we can find out the total shots that were actually done by A, and out of these shots, how many were used to kill birds, and though the result is 30. So once we are done with this question, let us move on to the next question. Read the question first properly. Okay. This sum of two numbers is 528 and their HCF is 33. The sum of two numbers is 528 and their HCF is 33. The number of pairs of numbers satisfying the above condition is. So they haven't asked us to find out the exact result. They have told us that how many pairs of numbers are going to certify, uh, number of pairs of numbers are going to satisfy this particular equation or particular situation. So from this particular situation, I can write this first relation. Sum of two numbers is 5 to 8. So we can write x plus y equal to 528. Sum of the two numbers. So this is equation number 1. And their HCF is 33. If the HCF of two numbers is 33, I can say that x equal to 33 into A and y equal to 33b. So x is going to be some multiple of 33 and y is going to be some multiple of 33. So from first equation, we can write 33a plus 33b is equal to 528. We can take 33 common. A plus B equal to, let us try to divide this by 11. So 11 into 4, 48. So in the next step, we can write 3 into 11, A plus B equal to 11 into 3 into 1, 6. So 3, 3, 11, 3 cancel. So A plus B equal to 16. So now if we look at A plus B have an HCF of 1. A plus B have an HCF of 1. And HCF of 1 means A and B are co-primes. If two numbers have HCF 1 between themselves, the numbers are known as co-primes. So we can see that A and B have a HCF of 1. So they are actually co-primes. So from this particular situation, we can find out the numbers of co-prime whose sum is actually 16. So those numbers will be less than 16, obviously. So the possible pairs are 1 comma 15. So HCF of 1 and 15 is 1. Another pair possible is 3 into 13. So again, co-prime. Then another pair possible is 5 and 11, again co-prime, and another pair possible is 9, 7. So there are 4 pairs possible. So the value for A can be 1, 3, 5, 9. And the value for B will be 15, then 13, then 11, then 7. So this is one pair, this is one pair, this is one pair, and this is one pair. And the possible values will be 33 into 1, comma 33 into 15. This is our pair number 1. Then 33 into 3, comma 33 into 13. This is pair number 2. Then again 33 into 5, comma 33 into 11. That is pair number 3. And we have 33 into 9 and 33 into 7. So that is pair number 4. Actually, though, we don't need to calculate these values, but you can always calculate this value and check if this particular condition is satisfied or not. But calculation is not necessary. We had to find out the number of pairs possible. So the number of pairs possible is 4. That is your option number C. So that was your whole question. So I hope that you understood this question. We can move on to the next question. Okay. So this type of question we have already done in the previous class, but this question is little bit different. So instead of asking the day for a particular date, they are telling us to find out the dates on which Wednesday fell on April 2020, 2001. So what were the dates in which Wednesday fell on April 2001? So what we can do is that we can find out the day on 1st April 2001. We can find out the day on 1st April 2001 and then check accordingly on which day Wednesday will fall. So anyways, we can start with our question. I can divide 2001 into 2 years. First is 2000 and second is 2001. As you have seen in the previous lecture, please look into this previous lecture and look into the criteria for dividing it. Criteria for dividing the years. So 2000 have 0 odd years and 2001 is the year in question. So we have January have 31 days. February is 28 days. March is 31 day, and 1st April. So this is 1. So adding all these days, we get 91 days. So 91 divided by 7, 91 divided by 7 again gives us 0 odd days. So this is 0 odd day. So 1st April 2001 was Sunday. 2nd April 2001 would be Monday. 3rd April 2001 will be Tuesday, and 4th April 2001 will be your Wednesday. So 4th April will be your Wednesday. So 4th April will be Wednesday. Then 4 plus 7, 11 April will be your next Wednesday. Then 11 plus 7, 18 April will be again your Wednesday, and 18 plus 20, 18 plus 7, so 25 April will again be your another Wednesday. So option number B is our correct answer. So this question was pretty simple. You just had to understand the question properly. So instead of trying to do every day, what you do, you find out the day that was on 1st April 2001, and then using that particular relationship, check on for the rest of the days. So let us move on to the last question of today's lecture. Entry ticket in an exhibition ranges from 1 paisa to 31 paisa. This is again an important TCS question. So entry ticket to an exhibition ranges from 1 paisa to 31 paisa. You need to provide an exact change at the counter. You have 31 paisa coin. In how many parts you will divide 31 paisa so that you will provide the exact change required and carry as less coins as possible. So let us first understand the question. So there is an exhibition, and the entry fees of this exhibition can be anything in the range of 1 to 31 paisa. It can be anything. It can be 1 paisa, it can be 2 paisa, it can be 3 paisa, it can be 4 paisa, it can be 5 paisa, it can be 6 paisa, so on and so forth. It can be anything. So you have total of 31 paise coins. So you have to divide the denominations in such a way so that by carrying the least amount of coins, you can tender the exact change at the counter. Fine. That means simply you have to decide on the denominations of the coins possible. You have to decide on the denominations of the coins possible so that you can extract or give exact tender at the counter. So let us just imagine what are the possible range of values that we can have. We can have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Then we can have 21, 22, 23, then 24, then 25, then 26, then 27, 28, 29, 30, and then 31. Fine. So the cost of the examination ticket sell can be anything out of these 31 numbers. So what I'm going to do is that first divide this whole number system into half, and we can say that we will have a 16 paisa coin. Actually like this. We can say that first we can have a 16 paisa coin. First we can have a 16 paisa coin, and then again we can divide it into half again. Then we can say that we will have a 8 paisa coin. Then we can divide this another one. We will say that we will have a 4 paisa coin, and then we will have a 2 paisa coin, and then we can say that we can have a 1 paisa coin. So you see, I have divided this range half each time. So first we have 16, then we have 8, and then we have 4, then we have 2, and then we have 1. And we can check that we can actually give exact change using these 5 denominations only. So for 1, we can just give 1 coin of 1 rupee. For 2, we can give this 2 rupee coin. For 3, we can give 2 plus 1 rupee coin. For 4, we can give this coin. For 5, we can give 4 plus 1. For 6, we can give 4 plus 2. For 7, we can give 4 plus 2 plus 3. For 8, we can use this coin. For 9, we can use 8 plus 1. For 10, we can use 8 plus 2. For 11, we can use 8 plus 2 plus 3. For 13, we can use 8 plus 4 plus 1. So what we can do is that we can imagine like this. Imagine a box like this. This represents as the 16 paisa denomination coin. This represents the 8 paisa denomination. This represents the 4 paisa denomination. This represents the 2 paisa denomination. And this represents the 1 paisa denomination. And writing 1 here tells me that I am taking a 1 paisa coin. So for, say, suppose 18 rupees or 18 paisa, I can say that I can take 18 paisa. For 18 paisa, I can take one 16 paisa coin and one 2 paisa coin, and rest will be 0. So those you have studied electronics, you can easily say that the total number of bits required, total number of bits for every one of this position, either we can take either we can take the denomination of the paisa, or either you cannot take. So you have only 2 possibilities for each of the box. So those you have studied digital logic, you can easily say, so as to represent 31 in bits, you require 5 bits. So you can say that you require 5 unique denomination to give exact value for 35 paisa, for any value from the range of 1 to 31 paisa. So if we have any questions like this, like how many denomination we will require to give any value between 1 to 128. So it will be number of bits that is required to represent this one. So number of bits required from 1 to 127 is actually 7 bits. And for 7 bits, using 7 unique denomination, we can give, or we can give exact change for any range of values between 1 to 127. And the denominations will be 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, that means 2, 2, 4, then it will be, sorry, it will be 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, then 16 into 2 is 32, then at the end it will be 64. You can actually use any combination. So this was an important question. So I have tried to help you understand the question properly. If there is any doubt, please feel free to comment in the comment box below. We have completed our today's lesson. To get the full materials of this particular lesson, you can visit our website, that is www.campusprep.com. You can visit this thing and you can find the rest of the classwork PDF, question paper solution set, and with a free practice test. You can also join our Telegram group for further updates and to communicate with me. And we are always looking for your feedback so that we can help you to crack TCS NQT with flying colors. You can always join our Facebook page. You can also check out our Instagram page for our latest updates. So anyways, that's it for today. So meet you again on 24th of March with few more questions on numerical analysis. So Friday, I have planned some very important and hard questions from TCS NQT. These 2 days, or rather, if you look into the Monday's class, I had tried to keep the questions little bit simpler. In this particular class, the questions were smaller, calculations were smaller, but the concept were very different. So in the Friday's class, I'm going to take hard and complicated concept, as well as I am hoping to get some questions that require some complicated calculations as well. So I hope to see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.